are back to continue our quest of getting you the best stories and the hottest review from the creme de la creme of the tech world.
Hands-on reviews of the latest smartphones, apps to teach yourself photography, and the facts and myths about the processors in your phone.
We have taken it upon us to separate fact from fiction and get you the most credible analysis, opinions, and reviews. Welcome to Byte Me.
There was a time when a 5-inch phone was considered to be too big, and I personally think it's still a little too big to hold in your hands. But in life, certain things have always been better when they are bigger, and now this classic rule seems to apply to smartphones. That's why Sony has stretched the definition of a phablet and introduced a 6-inch screen that's almost as big as a Subway sandwich. Actually, it is as big as a Subway sandwich. Blogger Sahil Gupta is going to give his take on this Subway, this smartphone, the Sony Xperia T2.
Hi, this is Sahil Gupta from My Mobile Magazine. I am web controller and correspondent for the magazine, and today we are reviewing the Sony Xperia T2 Ultra. So let me unbox the device. Here we have the device. Standard Sony earphones. The USB cable, this is the power adapter, and a couple of Sony manuals. Let's take a look at the phone. It's a 6-inch phone. Form factor is pretty nice for a 6-inch device because it's a really slim phone. It's pretty light, and in comparison to other 6-inch phablets, I would say it's much more portable and pocketable. LCD screen, it has a 720p resolution, but surprisingly, in comparison to other Sony phones, this has got great color fidelity. You've got natural colors out here, good viewing angles. Sony uses its triluminous technology here, which bumps up the color fidelity. Overall, I found the display to be very impressive for a phone of this class. Internally, there's a 3000 mAh battery. It's not user removable because Sony is using a unibody design, but the battery life is very impressive. On the back, it has a 13 megapixel camera with a LED flash. Here, low light performance is decent. I wouldn't call it great, but it's decent, and for a phone of its class, the camera reproduces surprisingly good images. For instance, take a look at this image. This is something I shot in my garden, and you can see the detail and the impressive depth of field that this phone is able to generate, the camera is able to generate. So if we are talking about specs, this phone is not going to dazzle anyone, because inside it has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 400 processor, a quad-core version of the processor, which is the same version that we have seen in the Moto G. It has 1 GB of RAM and an Adreno 305 GPU. Overall, the specs are not groundbreaking. It even has a Adreno 305 GPU, which means gaming will be okay. You won't get class-leading graphics for games, but overall it's decent for a person buying a phone worth rupees 25,000 rupees. This phone runs on Android 4.3 Jelly Bean. It hasn't received an update to KitKat, but we can expect one soon. Overall, I found the software to be very clean. It's very smooth. There's not much of clutter out here. Sony has this swipe customization, so you can easily find apps using the Sony Select Store, or you can go back to the Google Play Store and you can find all apps. A couple of things are interesting about this phone. For instance, you have got the Album Gallery app, which is Sony's take on the stock Android app, Gallery app. What impresses me more is the Walkman app, which is a very intuitive music player app, and it's also integrated with Sony's Music Unlimited streaming service. You have got equalizer controls, you have got Sony's clear audio filter out here. With this phone, Sony again uses its omni-balance design language, which basically dictates symmetry in all lines. In terms of form factor and build quality, this is a quite impressive device. Yes, it has a similar design to its elder siblings, the Xperia ZU, but the big difference is it has a plastic back. This means that this phone will not shatter if you drop it. You've got a multitude of ports. You've got the signature Sony radial power button out here. which really pops out. You've got a camera shutter button also, so you can control your camera using hardware keys. You've got the volume rockers. These are the slots for the twin SIM cards, the 3.5mm jack, and this for your micro USB slot, which also doubles as a charger, and this for the micro SD card slot. For a device that costs less than rupees 25,000, this is a great option. I would give it 8.5 out of 10.